All right, so now we are ready for our conclusion paragraph. And as always, I'm just going to have you follow the directions that are already listed on the left-hand side. So the first step is to restate your claim, which is your thesis statement. But notice, you need to say it in a new way. So do not just literally copy and paste your thesis statement, because that's going to be very weird for your readers. The next thing you'll do is have a sentence or two that briefly reminds your readers of the main points, just the basic highlights from your body paragraphs. And then close it up with a sentence or two that just wraps up the overall pieces. So maybe you'll just sort of remind readers of the title and the author. And I even have an example sentence. Here's what I wrote. Restating my thesis statement, while it is true that many characters undergo an important change of heart in The Outsiders, the character who exhibits the most significant change throughout the novel is Dally Winston. That was just a different version of my thesis statement. And then the blue part is where I'm just going to briefly remind readers of the main points. So I just said he starts out as selfish, cold, and hardened, but as the book unfolds, he gains a truer understanding of his relationship with others, ultimately becoming more sympathetic, heroic, and emotional. And then I'm just going to wrap it all up, just sort of a closing sentence. The drastic transition that Dally experiences teaches readers so much about the many changes that occur during times of hardships. What you'll notice about that pink sentence is that it's kind of like the so what. So what? Who cares if people change? So think about it like that. Give us the so what. Okay, here are some hints. Avoid phrases like in conclusion, to conclude, in summary, and to sum up. Those are very cliche. It's helpful in speaking when you're listening to someone present, but we don't want to really see it in writing very often. Avoid restating and summarizing every point you've just made. Sometimes kids will start going over their proof again and their evidence again. Don't do that. We already have that in the paragraph above this paragraph. And then, as always, avoid slipping into informal tone talking to your readers. It's really tempting to say, Dally teaches us so much, don't say us, because that's sort of informal. And you don't want to say something like, you should learn from Dally's mistakes or something like that. So that would be talking to your reader. Once your conclusion paragraph is done, then the next step is to begin transferring. Because what we've done right now is written all of our stuff in a Google presentation slide by slide, and that was just our graphic organizer. So we need to put that all onto a Word document now. So in one tab, open up your graphic organizer. In another tab, go to your Q2 folder and open a new doc. You're going to name this doc with your last name, and then it's going to say The Outsiders Literary Analysis Rough Draft. And rough draft can be in all caps. Once that's done, you're basically going to copy and paste all of the text from each slide onto the new rough draft doc. But we don't want all of the text from each slide. We only want the stuff that you wrote in those boxes. So not the little sets of directions that I wrote off onto the left side. Make sure you keep each of those little sections separated into different paragraphs on your rough draft blank document by indenting each paragraph. Use the tab button, please, and not the space bar. Here's an example of what I would do. I would do a split screen where you have your graphic organizer on one side and your blank document on the other side. And I even had to zoom out to 75% here so that it wasn't too zoomed in. So I don't need anything from my blue slide. I need to just start with my green slide. So I'm going to Control C or Command C, depending on what kind of computer you have, and paste. I'm going to go ahead and indent that paragraph. That's my introduction paragraph. Now, your body paragraph might look like this, where it's all one big chunk, or yours might have several smaller, like mini paragraphs in there. It all kind of depends. But you're going to come back over here, and I'm not going to paste it right here. I need to make a new paragraph. And it didn't indent for me, so I'm going to go ahead and indent. And I can already tell that the font sizes are different. Don't worry about that. We're going to fix it later. And I also might decide to break this up into multiple paragraphs for readability's sake. I will do that later. Okay, now it's all copied over and it's all different font sizes, and I need to break it up probably into some smaller paragraphs, but now I've got it how it's supposed to be. The next step is to come over to Schoology, and you need to go to the Schoology wall where we've posted the revising checklist and the editing checklist. Revising always happens first because these are the large scale changes to the content. Revising is when you change things about what you've written and the major concepts that you've written about. After you're done revising, then you'll do editing, and that's the type of changes that happen on a micro scale with commas and periods and all kinds of different punctuation marks and capital letters and all of that. So open the revising checklist and do all of the steps for that first. Then open the editing checklist and do all of the steps for that. Tomorrow we will do formatting, where we help you figure out double spacing and font styles and font sizes and how to do an MLA style header and all of that other stuff.